Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your
hosts,
Mike.
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic.
Okay, so when we first moved here to Vegas, we talked a lot about how hot it was.
Right.
Now we're probably going to talk a lot about how cold it is.
Because Las Vegas winters are very frosty compared to California winters.
Today it was so windy that there was a 3-degree change in temperature from what it really was to what it feels like.
You have to understand, being from Lethbridge, which is the windiest place in North America, that's kind of trivial, the 3 degrees, because we'd usually get like a 15, 20 degrees.
Okay, miss.
Wintertime.
Okay, miss.
But
I'm going to do one up
here,
on you.
it's aggressive. The 3-degree swing is
Yes.
aggressive here.
Extremely so. And the thing is, the cats, they don't tend to go underneath the blanket. When they sit with you, they don't want a blanket covering them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yet they're constantly complaining about being cold, moaning and groaning. And so I sleep in like a snuggle because it's better for my neck. And
Man snoogle.
and I can slide my arm under it and, sleep like a normal person. And I go in there yesterday, and this one here got me this big blanket. It's 10 feet by 10 feet. And she's got
I
it
didn't
folded
get it
over
for
and
you.
like
The
pulled
dog
up on the
did.
bed, right? And so it's covering the snuggle. So at the foot of the bed, 2 of the cats are curled up in a ball, touching each other.
Yeah.
Right up against one another, back to back. Then where's the third cat? He's sitting like a king in his throne. There's it made like a hammock
Yeah.
for him to sit in. So the blanket was like a hammock, and he was sitting there just looking like the king of Siam. He was like, I'm just the happiest thing in the world.
He was so pleased that when I went in there like 3 hours later, he was still in the hammock. And when I approached him, he rolled over and showed me his belly.
He was very happy to be in that spot. So
He's basically a dog.
so apparently you have an Am I the Asshole that has something to do with cats. So now might be a good time to bring that son of a bitch up.
I'm totally not going to read you the title.
Okay, totally don't.
I rescued a 9-week-old kitten from the middle of a busy street. After a trip to the vet for assessment and a chip scanning and a thorough search of local social media, we decided to keep him. By we, I mean I, as my wife and stepdaughter, 8, were out of town to see her family. I didn't go because 1, my mother-in-law is actually Satan, and 2, I couldn't get enough time off work. Anyways, they approved the adoption via telephone and left it up to me to decide his name. I picked Speed Bump to be his name because he almost became a speed bump before I rescued him. However, upon learning this name and why I picked it, my stepdaughter burst into tears and told me that it was a horrible name. She wants to name him something different, and I am considering surrendering the point, even though his pet license and microchip all say Speed Bump. Even my wife agrees the name is a poor choice, and now whenever we say Kitten's name, we will have to think about him getting run over. Edit. I suggested Skid Mark as an alternative, and now my stepdaughter won't speak to me. Am I the asshole?
Until the edit, I would say no. I mean, but the edit makes you a yes. I mean, that's mean that, you can tell that she's too sensitive and it bothers her. But I mean, you could have called the cat Speedy.
Well, yeah.
I mean, and then its name could be Speed Bump, but it could be called Speedy. I mean,
Or just
we
Bump.
had a friend that had a dog one time, and it had like this huge name, like a mile long. This name just went and went and went and went and went. So there you go.
Okay.
But I think that's what makes them an asshole, is that they had to go back with that whole skid mark thing. Because other than that, I mean, he was ready to concede and let them change the name. I mean, he was heading in the right direction with all of it, and then he kind of deserves what he gets. Actually,
Took a turn to the sarcastic,
yeah,
and then
that screwed him.
got banned by an 8-year-old.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. I mean, it happens between us sometimes.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I think Speed Bump is a pretty funny name for a cat. It reminds me, though, when I read this, it reminded me of that Road Wars show we've been watching, and how that motorcycle person stopped and grabbed that kitten out of the middle of that super busy intersection and almost got run over by that truck.
Yeah.
And we were so stressed, and I had covered my eyes.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, the girl's obviously affected by thinking about that. And so the name would make her continue to think about that. And I think here's another point.
She's an irrational 8-year-old. What do you expect?
But here's another point. If mom and daughter both don't like the name, all you're ever going to hear is shit for it if you force them to keep it. So you might as well just let them change the name. I mean, that's simplest, easiest way to go. Just let them change the damn name.
His name will forever legally be Speed Bump.
Well, yeah, you won that battle already.
Right.
Why have this fight? It doesn't make any sense to have this fight.
Right.
So there you go. I mean, I just think that he started out as not the asshole, but he's ended up the asshole. And I mean, in the end, really, nobody was the asshole, because the wife and daughter have every right to say, hey, I don't like that name. And that's another thing. I think the fact that it was a stepdaughter, so it's not even his kid, he's going to lose.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to lose.
Yeah. Everybody always thinks guys or men will give their actual daughter all of the princess treatment. I think in a lot of cases, a stepdaughter gets even more princess treatment.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yep.
So, I mean, do you have another one?
I do.
Because it seems like we agree on this one. There's not much to talk
this
about.
one's equally as dumb.
That one was pretty easy. But
also, that was from the filtered version of Am I the Asshole of Reddit?
Got it.
And so the verdict was no assholes here. He's not the asshole, the daughter's not the asshole, the mom's not the asshole, nobody's an asshole.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, he wasn't the asshole up until he did that last part.
And even then, he was just...
Yeah, but...
a sarcastic man.
The daughter's not talking to him. That means he's an asshole.
She's 8.
Uh-huh. So what?
8-year-olds are notoriously crazy.
Women are notoriously crazy.
Hey! I resemble that remark.
Especially you.
Dick. Now we know that there's an asshole here. Just kidding.
If you were actually prepared and had the thing ready, we wouldn't be having to ramble right now.
It's been sitting open on my phone for
then why are we rambling?
Because you didn't shut up. Anyway, am I the asshole for ordering pizza even though we had dinner reservations? We were supposed to go out with my family for dinner, but I was craving pizza all day and I was hungry, so I asked my husband if he would buy me some. We ordered pizza at 5:45 and we had dinner reservations for 8:30. When the pizza arrived, everybody wanted some, but my sister was upset because she wanted to go to the restaurant, so she refused to eat any. No one wanted to go out after they had eaten the pizza because they were so full, so my dad told my husband he should cancel our reservation. My sister is blaming me for us not going to the restaurant and has accused me of making everything about myself. My parents have tried to speak to her, and my dad told her I was pregnant, so I needed to eat when I was hungry, but it's only made her more angry with me. It's difficult to get a reservation at the restaurant we were supposed to go to, so I understand why she was initially upset. We never went, as she was excited to go. However, my husband knows the owner and has promised he will make another reservation before we went home. My sister doesn't want me to be invited as she thinks I'll ruin it again, which I think is an overreaction. Am I the asshole?
No. I mean, could you have planned better? Yeah, you're pregnant. You need to eat at a certain interval. Eat so that you're ready for dinner. You know what time the reservation is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But does that make you an asshole because you messed up and didn't plan ahead? No, it doesn't.
How many times has it been like an hour or two before we're going to leave to go somewhere for dinner, and I have to eat something because I'm hungry?
Well,
and
we've
I
never
feel
canceled
fainty.
the reservation because of it.
No. And you know what? I don't think they would have canceled this reservation had the pizza only been for her and her husband, like it was meant to be. It's everyone else who decided to eat the pizza and ruin their appetite when they weren't starving.
I mean, that's a fair assumption to make, but it's still an assumption.
Right.
I mean, we don't know. But
I mean, at the very worst, she wouldn't have gone.
I think you're right, because I don't think they would have ordered the pizza knowing that they would be not wanting to go to the restaurant.
Right. It doesn't sound like there was any intention of not going to the restaurant when the pizza was ordered.
Not even close. No, not even close. And I think,
which is what makes her not the asshole, in my opinion.
Well, and I agree with you. I think that she could apologize and be like, I'm really sorry that happened but I was hungry and I had every intention of going to the restaurant, but other people ate and that's what ruined it. And I'm sorry.
Right.
And that's all you can say. I mean, accept some of the blame. I mean, you did order the pizza, so it kind of is your fault, but it doesn't make you an asshole. It doesn't mean you made a mistake. Oh, well.
I think the sister's being an asshole. Not initially, but the overreaction ongoing makes her an asshole.
Yes. I don't like people that can never let it go, especially with family members. That's just, I don't like that.
Well, I was of the opinion that this person, the original poster, was an asshole until I read the part about her being pregnant.
Exactly. Of course you would, because there's a difference.
Well, because I was like, well, couldn't you just have like a little private snack? But then I realized, like, pregnant people need to eat full meals when they need to eat full meals.
Right.
So.
Well, that's interesting. Those are interesting. Let me tell you something, though. We were talking about how cold it was here at the top of the show.
Yes.
Did you hear the wind today?
I heard the wind. Okay, so the wind doesn't make the same sound in my office as it makes in yours. But when I came in here, all I heard was a.
It was whistling all day. It was so distracting. And I was supposed to record long videos today.
Oh, no.
And I just didn't do it because I knew I needed to record 6 videos for my clients. And then I needed to record 2 long videos for my YouTube channel. Well, I'm like, it said it was going to stop the wind like at 2:00. So that's what I did. I waited until then. And then I sat here and I just recorded it, Yeah. And I made sure that I was like right in on top of the microphone over here so that this microphone over here, if you get in close, it doesn't hear anything else. So I was able to kind of block it out, but I couldn't do that for video.
It was really alarming.
It was loud.
And then I walked to the mailbox and I was like, I was so cold. It was so frosty out there. And then there was so much mail. And then I had to keep my hands on it. And then the street sweeper dudes, they waited for me. They were like having their lunch when I left the house. And then when I was coming back, like they'd started the street sweeper and they were like ready to sweep. But they waited until I was back in the house before they started.
That was nice of them.
Yes. Because I think if not, I would have gotten sandblasted by the street dirt.
Well, then yesterday morning, when we took Bree to the park, it had rained all night. And she did not understand at first what she needed to do. She was trying to do, like, usually what Bree will do is I throw the ball and I throw it as high as I can get it so that it bounces for her. And she leaps in the air and she catches it. And then she bounds back to me and she comes to a stop, like a quick halt right in front of me. Well, she tried to do a quick halt and she just slid right past me because it was wet. And it took her like 5 throws before she figured out I got to start my stomp a little earlier. And then, I mean, there's been times when I've taken her over there and the ground is frozen.
Yeah. And the grass is all spiky and frozen and cold, and then Yogi doesn't want to walk on it.
Yeah. It's very, very different here. And weather-wise. And apparently, like, we were in the rainstorm yesterday, and I remember you were saying, oh, it's sunny, and yet it's raining on us. And, oh, look at the crazy clouds. Well, apparently that's just like a very normal, like, Vegas kind of thing.
Yeah. What you said at the beginning of the show really is the truth, because in the summer, the grass is hot and spiky and burns your little feet. And in the winter, the grass is frozen and spiky and freezes your little feet.
Exactly. One way or the other. Well, so we've been doing this thing with Bree where I've been doing I give her 10 balls and I see how many she can catch on one bounce.
Yep.
And she usually
Wins.
gets 6 or 7 of them, you know? And so I give her a win-loss record with that. It's just, I don't know. It's fun for me. Makes me more engaged with the dog. I don't know. It's just about me more than her. But because she don't know what's going on. Exactly. But then on Sundays, because it's football, we take her football over there and we throw her football. Well, this Sunday, I take the football and I'm throwing it with my bare hands. I'm throwing it with my bare hands. And I'm throwing it with my bare hands. And then I'm coming home and I'm like, my hands hurt. My hands were frozen. They were red. And that's just not even when we would take her to the park at 6 a.m. in California, in the winter time, it wasn't that cold. Not even close.
I don't think if we were still in California and it was this cold, I don't think we would be taking her to the park. Because it was remember, when we were in California, taking her to the park was a whole production. You had to get in the car and drive and,
Here it takes us 15 minutes total round trip, including the time at the park. I mean, it doesn't take us long at all. And it's kind of their morning walk. It's what they get as a morning walk, and they like it.
And the Saris gets to run after the ball, which is her favorite thing in the entire world. And the Yogi gets to walk around and sniff every single blade of grass, which is his favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. So, I don't know. The weather here is interesting. Hot in the hot part of the year, freezing cold part of the year. I don't really think there's an in-between.
There was 2 weeks of, it's really nice outside today. And then it was cold.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's going to do the same thing. The quote-unquote spring will be 2 weeks, and then it'll be Satan's asshole outside.
You know what's interesting, though? Now that it's cooler, I'm sleeping a lot better. A lot better.
That is interesting. You know what? So our house has been in these winter months has been sitting around 65 degrees. That tells me your opportune temperature is closer to 65 degrees, but we do not want the electricity bill of trying to keep this house that temperature.
Well, no, it wouldn't be worth it.
No. 72 is
That's
perfect.
Plenty. Yeah. I mean, it just wouldn't be worth it. But the point is, you're probably right. That's probably my body's favorite temperature.
Yeah. I almost think we could do 74 during the waking hours during the day, and we should drop it to 70 at night, so it's a little cooler while we're sleeping.
When we went to the gym this morning, I had 2 shirts on. It was so hot in there.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly hot in there.
And then my body was heating up, and then my blood pressure medication was going, let's make you really woozy and dizzy.
Of course.
And I was like, well, this is a great thing to be doing while you're dizzy, lifting heavy things up over your head.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I got for you, babe.
Well, we did 2 Am I the Assholes and talked about the weather. It's small talk o'clock.
Yeah, it was a weather sandwich.
A weather sandwich. Well, now I want a real sandwich. So good night, everyone.
Hasta bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.